questions during the presentation about what we're talking about, just go to sli.do, be on your phone or your laptop, whatever you're using, and just fill out the event code 9. Is that something you're able to... Do we have sound now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
There's like initial.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, I'll just repeat that. Yeah, thanks for joining us. 91 ILP, the first ILP of the year, and the first one for Dotdigital Engagement Cloud. And clapping. Yeah, any questions during the presentation, go to sli.do and fill out the event code #9084, and we'll get round to a Q&A at the end. So I'll start with some important dates and quick memos. So from tomorrow, we'll be opening the self-certification quiz. This will be, I think, the second or third time we're doing it now. It works pretty well. We've received good feedback from you all, so hopefully it will work well again this time. Everyone's got a week to complete it, so please do so by the 7th of March. Look out for the email tomorrow from Winston at Dotdigital, and that will take you through to the questions. If you are the quickest respondent in your region and get 100% of the questions right, there are $500 dollars up for grabs, so it's pretty good. Other than that, key dates. From the 1st of March, Adele will start her internal release training. So if that's happening where you are, you should have heard by now. I think she's going to be obviously here in Croydon, in London Bridge, Manchester, and do separate sessions with teams in the US and in APAC as well. Then on the 6th of March, we've got partner comms going out. And external launch, of course, for our customers and prospects is on the 13th of March. So I'm sure some of you will have noticed that, yeah, we've been founded 20 years ago, which is a very, very long time. And just to prove that, here we go. That's me 20 years ago. I won't dwell on this too long. But yeah, keep an eye out during the presentation, and you should see some more snapshots from team members a very long time ago. More importantly, 20 years ago, .mailer at the time looked something like this. I don't know if you can give me a show of hands in the room for how many people remember this. Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think 8. Okay, pretty good, maybe, I don't know, 20% of the room here. So it's fair to say that a lot has changed since then. The platform was officially launched in actually 2002. Program Builder was launched in 2013, and since then we've brought a lot more channels into the fold, especially last year with the CPaaS team joining us. So all of these events and many more have led us to evolve from an ESP into a fully fledged engagement cloud. So you might recognize some of these from the rebrand. So just to recap, Engagement Cloud now encompasses Connect, which is basically all the features around sort of data and how people can use their data in better ways. It's about our integrations across CRM and e-commerce and also partner landscapes. You've got Empower, which is basically covers all solution areas that help marketers do more in less time. And then thirdly, and very crucially, of course, Communicate. So that covers all the channels that a marketer would need to do their job, really. And it's not just about us. We've obviously evolved over 20 years because we're in a certain market and a marketer's role has changed drastically. So it doesn't really matter what article or blog you're reading or which marketer you're speaking to. We've sort of identified 4 overarching trends that marketers have had to respond to, and it's also something as a team that we try and respond to in terms of what we focus on. So one of these will be the way we digest content has changed, and our attention spans have apparently reduced to that of a goldfish. I don't know how true that is, but it has been said. So the way marketers have responded to that is by producing shorter content to basically meet shorter attention spans. And obviously with that also comes omni-channel marketing, omni-channel retargeting, and also increasing importance of transactional marketing. It's not just an order confirmation anymore, it's actually a marketing touch point, and it's important that it's on brand and relevant. So we'll be speaking about multi-channel cart for Magento 2 today, and also on-site recommendations to address that. Secondly, and some marketers are still guilty of this, but hopefully not too many. A long time ago, 20 years, 10 years, even 5 years, many would batch and blast, market through by way of a cold outreach, or even buy entire lists without the right consent, which is obviously not possible anymore, thankfully. Today, marketers increasingly focus on segmentation, targeting, and what was originally positioning is now potentially personalization. So today we'll be talking about predictive recommendations, targeted landing pages, and also segment templates that will make it easier to send comms to the right people. Then the third overarching trend, which I'm sure everyone would see coming, is around data. Obviously, a long time ago, data was siloed, it was limited, and a very famous quote that has been attributed to many different people. I think one of them is Henry Ford, J.C. Penney, and someone else. So who knows? But the quote is basically, half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. Luckily, today, that's not the case anymore. And actually, you'll hear most marketers say something along the lines of, unless it can be measured, it's probably not worth doing. And so what really ties in with that is that integrations are key, bringing the right data into the platform. And we're also seeing a rise in sort of predictive and cause and effect type tech. So Tristan will be talking to that a bit further in a bit around Shopify Flow. And then fourthly, and this is one that that always sort of baffles me, is that marketing used to be perceived as a supporting act. Today, I think it's fair to say that marketing is a key business function and it has cross-departmental relevance. So also now when we're looking at our platform, we need to make sure that it's easy to use in larger teams, and it also is relevant to not just marketers, but also e-commerce professionals and other stakeholders in businesses. That's where collaboration comes in. And that's me, so over to Tristan.
Hey guys, thank you Juliette for this great intro. Yeah, that's me. It's not 20 years ago, no, it's older than that. It's really hard to find exactly a picture from 1999, I find. Anyway, so I'm going to talk to you about some of the cool stuff that we've been working on in the integration space, as usual. But before I do, who remembers Snoyo? Woo! Cool. So for those who don't know Snoyo, this is our kind of fictitious, beloved company that we like. Outdoor e-commerce retailer, very cool bunch of guys. And we're going to use them over the presentation again to kind of highlight all the use cases that we're going to talk to you about. Who remember that guy at Snoyo? Anyone remember his name? Tom, the founder of Snoyo. So Tom is still around, still kind of trying to get his business successful and growing. And he recently attended that Shopify Plus event in this kind of alpine chalet bar thing, very Shopify kind of thing, where he basically met a lot of outdoor and various e-commerce retailer. And what he saw there literally blew his mind, because he basically discovered Shopify Flow. So he was really happy to see that, and he was also really happy to see and learn that Shopify Flow now integrates with the Digital Engagement Cloud, which is great. So what is Shopify Flow? So Shopify Flow is obviously a Shopify product. It's their kind of e-commerce automation tool. That's how they market it. It's only available for the highest segment of their customer, which is the Shopify Plus plan. What it does is it basically gives you more control in your store, in your e-commerce, to improve and simplify your business processes. But also, it's basically help the e-commerce manager to integrate with the whole e-commerce stack, fulfillment, obviously marketing. So it's really it was built from the ground up to work with third-party integration. In Shopify Flow, the way it works, it's really very much trigger action based. So something happens, in the store, you can add some rules, define some rules and conditions, and then action things, right? This is Shopify Flow. This is not the new program builder, right? So this is really in Shopify. So to see this as a Shopify merchant, you need to download the Shopify Flow app, or at least activate it. And what's cool about that, if you have both the Shopify Flow app and the Dotdigital engagement app for Shopify, well, it will instantly see that basically this new section here for the Digital Engagement Cloud, with here the free action that we currently support, right? So we offer at the moment 3 actions. The first one obviously is to add a customer to a marketing program off the back of an action. It could be new customer created or a new order has been passed on the store. The second one is to create and update contact data. So it really complements the existing integration that we have today, as in that it will help the e-commerce manager to send the data when they need it, and also pass some additional data fields coming from either Shopify Plus, so they get a full range of kind of type of data they can use and pass to us or to Engagement Cloud, but also from third-party apps. And the last action is to send a transactional email directly, happening off the back of an action. As I said, it works with loads of different third-party apps as well. Here are I think at the moment there's like about 30 different apps that work in Shopify Flow. So our customer can effectively integrate with these guys within Shopify Flow and effectively react on triggers and apply action in the Digital Engagement Cloud. That's really powerful, and also we can reinforce our partnerships offering within the Shopify ecosystem. So that's really great. So Tom saw that, and he directly kind of start thinking about all the cool stuff he could implement in his store. And one of the things he had in mind was, so that's the Snoyo site, and he effectively used a third-party app called Wishlist Plus, because wishlists aren't supported by default in Shopify. So basically, what you want to do is anytime a customer adds a product in their wish list, he wants to pass the product name of this product in the contact data field and also enroll that guy into a wish list follow-up program. Easy. So I click on that button. Basically, it's going to add this product in my wish list. And then in Shopify Flow, here's how it's going to function. So Tom is going to simply define a trigger. So in that case, it's going to be product added to wish list. He may want to define some rules. For example, if the product price is above $300 or a quid, then I will action something. And then it's going to simply select the create contact node and action from the Digital Engagement Cloud. Here on the right-hand side panel, you can see a couple of attributes that you can define as well. So, for example, you can pass the wishlist product name as a data field. You can specify a specific address book ID to push this customer into it. And the second action obviously would be to add to a marketing program this customer. Here again, very simple. You just have to specify the program ID of which you want to enroll your customer to. So really, in a couple of clicks, you can do really great, super powerful kind of automation. And what's cool about it is that you can automate some of the business processes that are running in Shopify, and obviously induce some other very complex programs that are living and being run in Engagement Cloud. So that you can really imagine the kind of cool things that we can do. And possibilities are really endless. More exciting things that Tom is already thinking about is, anytime a customer subscribes for back-in-stock alerts, again, using a third-party app, we could, send a coupon code via SMS, for example. Or send a transactional email, anytime a new customer signs up, or pass a new order, etc., etc. At the moment, we don't have anything in Shopify in terms of branding the transactional email. So here, it's going to use a triggered campaign as the content of the actual email that's going to be sent. So that again is a great plus for our merchants. So with all of that, really, for Tom, in terms of automation, the world is this kind of oyster, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Right. So the other thing that Tom is kind of thinking at the moment is sometimes he feels that he's got the right team, he's got the right player, the right tools, and obviously the right opportunities, but sometimes he still miss a lot of baskets, right? So they use Magento 2 stores, and they still have concern with their abandoned carts and the way it works in Magento. So here's the kind of top challenges that Tom is having right now with the abandoned cart in Magento. The stylings options are really limited for the cart content, because if you're familiar with Magento, at the moment we use external dynamic content, so effectively fetching the content and displaying it in your email at the point of send. This is not great in terms of styling, because styling lives in the Magento store. It's very much time sensitive. There's no second chance if you, for example, you have the double opt-in enforcement enable. If the customer doesn't confirm his subscription and miss at that time his abandoned cart email, there's no second chance. We're not going to retry. We don't have any insight on the lost cart in Engagement Cloud. So no segmentation possible. Hard to kind of do some win-back program off the back of a cart that has been lost. And also, obviously, it only supports email, because if you're familiar again with the abandoned cart that is worked today, we only define 3 email series in Magento, and that's it. So, to help Tom, what we've been doing and we've been busy doing is a new abandoned cart program section in Magento. So it works basically on top of, additionally, or basically complements what we have today. So it's fair to say that as soon as our customer will install the new version of Magento 2, of our Magento 2 connector, is still going to work for them, right? If they have a free email series already set up. But if they want to switch or to add another program, they can do it. So they just will need to basically select the program that they want in this section and set a pre-enrollment delay. So it can be between 15 minutes up to, I think it's 12 hours at the moment. Again, to give them more flexibility in the way they will send the first touch and the first email, SMS, push, you name it. Obviously, it gives them a lot of flexibility in the kind of channel they might want to use as well. So they can really start to be really creative in the way they enroll and engage their customer for the abandoned cart. So the second thing we are doing is obviously we are synchronizing the cart insight records as soon as we enroll the customer to this program. We are also doing it as in pushing and creating the record when we send the campaigns. That's going to also work, and that's going to be another option that our customer using the email series will be able to use as soon as they install this new version. And they will be now able to use this abandoned cart block almost like natively, because the cart insight will be there. But don't worry, the good old EDC will still work, at least for now. So here's the kind of cool thing that Tom can now think about and kind of start to implement and talk to his team. He can effectively send, a really simple SMS reminder using, the title of the main, the most valuable product that was in his cart. That's, by the way, something that we synchronize as well in the data field. And say, hey, you forgot your super kind of snowboard in your basket, come and get it with an extra 10%. So just to recap, what we've been doing for Magento 2 and what this change encompass. So a new program trigger will be available in the new version, Magento 2 only, enabling, multi-channel abandoned cart. We will start to see cart insights, not only for the abandoned cart, but also for the email series that is already in place. Our clients will be able to use the abandoned cart block as well as the EDC if they still have this in place. And also, the last thing I didn't touch upon yet was the retry window. So, I mentioned about the problem that Tom is having with people not confirming on time their subscription. So we will start retrying now over a 24-hour period by default to effectively enroll or resend an abandoned cart campaign until the contact has actually confirmed. So again, we're trying to maximize the chance for a contact to see that reminder and effectively, bring some money back to the store. Great. So Tom was really happy. He shared that with the team. They've implemented it. Everybody was happy. But everything was working fine on staging. But when they went to prod, everything was down. And they basically had no single clue. So Emily, do you remember Emily? Marketing manager, she started to talk to Mandy, e-commerce manager. We also talked about her last time. Mandy talked to Mikey, CTO. Mikey spoke to Pete, former marketing dude. He was fired by Ian last quarter, wasn't it? But he kind of kept good relationship with the team. So he had no clue. And then finally spoke to Tom about that. They was like, what's going on? It worked fine on staging. When it went to prod, all was broken. But the day after that, they kind of reached out to our support, and they spoke to Brice, third line support. And Brice said, yep, I know what's going on. Your API user basically has been locked because when you went from staging to production, well, you just forgot to change the password, and basically it's been locked after 5 failing requests. It was all locked out. It's fair to say that the team wasn't happy at all. Huge waste of time, right? So is that an kind of only Snow.io problem? I mean, of course not. In 2018 only, this problem obviously generated more than 600 tickets. Obviously, it's not just API users, it's all type of users. It can be managed users, transactional email users. And the reason of locking these users out might be various as well, but usually it's after basically 5 wrong attempts with the wrong credentials, it just becomes locked and nobody's aware. So we clearly think that, thought that there was something to be done here and improved, and that's what we've done. So we now send a notification to the account owner as well as all the administrator of the account as soon as a user gets locked in the account. So here, for example, is the email that's basically Mikey will receive if one of these SBI users for Magento get locked. But not only we send a notification email like this, but we also surface now in-app a new status called locked in your user list. And if you look at the email, there is also an unlock API user button, pretty handy to help you unlock the user if you obviously know or if we can identify the source of that lock effectively. So if your if you're, I mean, in the situation of Snow, you obviously know that you did something wrong. Coming from staging or development environment to production, wrong credential, kind of classic error. So all is good. Just unlock it. If you have any doubt, or if our customer have any doubt, then we will still recommend them to contact support to be kind of sure. So that's it. And obviously, just as a recap again, I mean, what we've been doing in the integration space. So Shopify Flow, 3 actions: enroll to marketing program, create or update customer, and send transactional email are available now for all our Shopify Plus merchants. Multi-channel abandoned cart for Magento 2, with also the retry window for pending contacts. And finally, the locked user notification for all type of users: managed users, API, transactional, and SFTP user. And on that, I'm going to hand over to Michael. Thank you.
Whose idea was this? Amazingly, I met my wife when I looked like that. What was she thinking? Anyway, enough of him. So, good news, Snowyo's growing, we all know that. All their teams are growing, but in particular their marketing team is growing. It's no longer just one marketing manager. I can't remember her name. Mandy? Emily. Is now a whole team, and they're growing fast. So they did what any self-respecting, fast-growing team would do. They went and did some team building exercises. You know team building exercises? You know the kind of thing, yeah? Things like this.
And it'll be an exercise in building trust between one another. So Harrison, if you don't mind going first, step up here on this chair and close your eyes. All right, and then everybody fill in, and we're going to ask you to fall, and then they will catch you. So you have to trust us. I'm going to count to 3, just relax and fall, okay? 1, 2, 3. No!
That wasn't Snowyo. Everyone in Snowyo is safe. They're safe and well. But what that does quite aptly demonstrate is a complete lack of team communication there. So that didn't happen to Snowyo. They were way better at communication, and they all fell in the right direction, and everyone's good. But Snowyo are growing, and they're not alone. They're not alone at all. What we realise now is that at least 4 in 10, slightly more, of all our customers now use Engagement Cloud. Yes, I said Engagement Cloud and not .mailer. They all use Engagement Cloud in a team. In fact, the mean number of users in an account now is 3.6, by which I mean if you were to log into any account, on average, you'd find between 3 to 4 people. So teams are increasingly common, which is actually good news to us because teams spend more with us as well. In fact, if you have a team size that's between 2 to 10 people, they spend about 6 times more than solo users. But the bigger the team, the more they spend. So if you, on average, for team sizes more than 10, that goes up to 18 times as much. So it's well worth our while having teams on board and catering for those teams. And we wondered, are we doing a great job of catering for teams? And arguably, probably not. So to give you a Snowyo example, and there are many like these, someone would go in and they'd get a campaign ready, and then someone else might see a problem with that campaign, and they'd make a little change, which is fine, that's good. And the first person comes back, and they see it's been edited since they last edited it, because we showed the time, but we don't show anything else. So they're left wondering, well, who edited it and why? And they didn't even know who to go to ask that question. And as I said, there's a whole load of problems like that, whereby if you don't know what your other users are doing in your account, it inevitably leads to problems. So we asked ourselves, well, how can we help teams like that? How can we help them communicate better? And we came up with a whole load of things. And we haven't done all of those things. It's a long-term thing, so we will continue to develop this as a theme. but we have done some things. So back in the New Year release, you may remember we introduced a new type of profile, and we introduced the profile badge that you can get to in the top right-hand corner of your account. Well, we now show those profile badges pretty much next to everything that you can edit or change or update. And we show the profile badge, obviously, of the user that made that change. In this case, a guy called Rob. This is an example of it next to campaigns, but again, as I said, we show it next to address books, SMS campaigns, segments, programs, landing pages, and over time we will be adding more. So after this, maybe tomorrow, depending on when we enable it, if you look in your account, you'll start seeing some of these. 2 weeks' time, you'll probably see more. For example, it will be things like product recommendations and marketing preferences. So more and more things will get these badges over time. To coincide with that, we also extended these new profiles that we introduced back in January. So you can now include information such as your location and your job title, just so it aids other members of your team, maybe that you don't communicate with that frequently. They know who they are and how to contact you and things like that. And we also added the ability for you to upload a photo just to personalise your preference a little bit more. And again, just so the communication is a little bit more frictionless, people can just scan and see a picture of you or a cat if that's what you've uploaded. But again, this will be available in your accounts fairly soon, so go and have a play, upload some images, mostly because I want to impersonate your accounts and see what you've uploaded. But what we're also doing for the first time is allowing users to view other users' profiles. So when you see, in this case I'm logged in as me, if I see Rob has changed something, I can click his profile and view his account, which you've never been able to do before. And in this example, because I'm an administrator on this account, you'll also see I have a Manage Permissions button, which will take me through to Rob's profile in the team management area, and I can change his account access and user permissions and things like that. If I was looking at this like a managed user, I wouldn't get that button. You'll notice here Rob doesn't have an image, so we've got his initials. In my example, I had uploaded a photo, so that's 2 different types of badge. We do have a number of other types of badges as well, based on different scenarios. So on some occasions, we may show this one. Anyone would like to guess what this one means? Ooh, whoever said that needs to say it more loudly. Deleted user, exactly that. Also known as man with 2 plasters on his head. Now I've said that, you won't be able to not see it. But yes, so if a user in your account edits something, and then you or another administrator deletes that user, we show this. It's quite straightforward. Next up, we have this one. Any guesses?
Lisa Simpson.
Lisa Simpson. Yeah, close. Close, Toby. Well done. Anyone else?
Impersonate.
We have impersonate and admin user. Not quite. API user. That doesn't obviously apply to everything. Not everything can be updated by the API. But for something like an email campaign, it can be, excuse me. I splashed water in my face. We'll show this icon. And again, if you have the correct rights in the account, you can click that and go through to view that API user as well. Next up, we have this one. Any ideas? No, someone actually, I think, said it before. Dylan, I'm looking at you because I think it might be you. Impersonated user, exactly that. So if someone else in the team from another account, or maybe someone from Dotdigital impersonates this account and makes a change to something, we'll show this. And then last but not least, this one. Any ideas?
Don't know.
Is that your answer, or are you just saying you don't know? Yeah, exactly that. We don't know who it was. So, you give this some time, maybe months, maybe some years, you probably won't see this. But from launch, you'll probably see this semi-regularly. So it's essentially anything that was edited before we started recording, who edited stuff. That's typically why you'll see this. As soon as someone makes an edit to something like this, obviously we'll show their profile badge instead. Incidentally, we don't have an exact time for when we started recording. It depends on what it is and where you are. But largely for stuff edited before March, at the time, then you'll see this. So all of that is a bit late for this guy. He's already fallen the wrong way. But for Snowyo and our real customers, hopefully what we've done there will aid their communication and make working in the engagement cloud as a team just that little bit easier. So just to recap, what have we done? We've enhanced the profiles. You can save more information. You can upload photos, etc. We are then showing profile badges next to things like campaigns to show who last edited it, and we're giving the ability to view other users' profiles as well. That is me done. Time for the next horrendous photo. Next up is Daniil.
Yeah. On this picture you see a person who took a blue pill in a t-shirt that was outdated already 20 years ago. Anyway, let's get back to Snowyo and their problems. And in 2019, Snowyo has a big challenge on their hands. They want to really understand better their customers. They now want to know how this group of their customers different from that group of their customers and from that group of their customers. And if that sounds familiar to you, then it's good, because that's what our segments are doing. So our customers can create very clever segments to distinguish different customers group, understand how they're different between each other, and so on. And as of 19.1, we're making segmentation better and easier than it ever was before, with introduction of segment templates. So segment templates are available for all customers and are easy-to-use blueprints that help you to segment your customers quickly, easily. And Snowyo now know exactly how this group changes from that group and changes from that group, and also maybe something they haven't even thought about they had, the group they had no clue about, but the automated segment will tell them. How cool is that? Because Snowyo always wanted like one thing, delight their customers. That was their goal from day one. That's why they created their company. And a big part for them to delight their customers is being able to help their customers. And for example, in this situation, you're on the slope, you're skiing, and you turn wrongly, and you end up somewhere you did not expect to end up, and you don't know where you are. So you could do with a map, and Snowyo has a map, and they could send it to you. If only you could text them, unsuspicious word yo, to their phone number. So if you do that, right now in the engagement cloud, right now the engagement cloud, the SMS message will be displayed in Snowyo reply section in their broadcast tool, which is useful, but not massively, because it cannot really do a lot with this reply. You can export it, but that's about it. But in 2019, in 19.1, that's all going to change, because in 19.1, the customers, like Snowyo, will be able to segment their contacts based on their SMS replies. So we introduced two new features that would allow Snowyo to see who replied to their SMS messages, and even more, who replied with some specific content to their SMS messages. So by replies, by the way, here we mean or inbound messages. So in the previous example, for Snowyo to send a map to everyone who texted yo to them, now it's very simple. They just select in this option, doing the little yo thing here, and they're done. They'll get all the contacts who texted yo to them. And as automation works, segmentation works in automation, the customers will be able to, Snowyo will be able to create such a simple program and basically delight their customers, sending them whatever they need, responding to their inbound messages. So never again would they disappoint their customers by not replying to them. But that's not all, because Snowio wants to, this year, Snowio wants to get physical. And by physical, we mean that they really want to surprise their customers and grab their attention. And to do that, the marketing manager, Emily, thought that it would be great if she could send their best contacts a postcard for their birthdays. So thanks to our integration with Royal Mail product Mailshot Maker, Snowio can now do that. They can send beautifully looking postcards and letters straight to their engagement cloud customers in the UK. So how it works? Pretty simply. All that Emily has to do is go to the engagement cloud, go through a very simple setup process, and she will see the new Mailshot Maker node appearing in her program builder. She could drag this node to the canvas, select a postcard or a letter that she wants to send. That's it. Every contact that will hit this node will receive her mail. And the Royal Mail, the physical mail, is really a channel that could engage customers in the ways that other channels can't. So just to recap a little bit, in 19.1, we're introducing inbound SMS and replies in segments and programs, postcards and letters with Mailshot Maker in the UK, and segment templates that are available throughout the engagement cloud. And normally everyone else would finish on that one, but I'll show you one more slide. Because by now you've probably already heard numerous times that we rebranded, and among our reasons to rebrand was because our name should catch up with the capabilities of our platform. So I like to illustrate this point for you by showing you this omni-channel engagement program. So it starts pretty traditionally with you welcoming your contacts by sending them an email, right? Then you can check if your customers are engaging with this email, and if they're not, maybe you want to send them an SMS message, and now you can see if they're replying to SMS message and react to their reply. If you have an address for your contacts, you can send them postcards and physical mail. And if after all that they are not yet fully engaged, you can retarget them onto biggest ad networks in the world. So I hope that shows you clearly that we are indeed the omni-channel engagement platform, in fact, like in the name. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniil. I think we need an explanation, right? It wasn't 20 years ago, it was about 12 years ago, I think. That's staged. I was never a Baptist minister. Okay, so we've talked about Snowio and some of the things that they're working on this year. But I'd like to talk a little bit about what we're doing as a product team and give you some insights into some of the decisions that we've made. So to do that, I'm going to start first by giving you a gift, because I want you to like me. And this is the gift of truth, and this is the truest thing that anyone has ever said. Customers are the enemy. Why am I saying that? Why is Steve Jobs saying that? Actually, I'll be honest, Steve Jobs didn't say that. I just completely made it up. But last year, we launched product recommendations. Great feature, awesome way for our customers to drive new revenue. Fantastic. But it's been hard to drive adoption. So why is that? So if we take a look here at the product recommendations that we offer, they're powered by different types of data. And so as a customer, I'm faced with this. So for bestsellers, I need my catalog and my orders. For most viewed, I need my catalog and my web behavior tracking. For trending, I need catalog, orders, and web behavior tracking. For content-based filtering, I need catalog, orders, optionally web behavior tracking. For collaborative filtering, I need catalog and orders, right? Simple. Apparently, it's not simple, and customers are struggling with this, which brings us actually to the real truth of this, which is we have some work to do. So product recommendations have really put a burden on the underlying data that our customers sync into the platform. And we've basically just highlighted problems that they didn't know they had, we didn't know they had. So we went on a bit of a journey at the end of last year to try and figure out how we can get more customers using product recommendations. So one of the first things that we built is this. This is the Insight Data Checker. So whenever you click to create a new product recommendation, this is going to validate the underlying data that powers it. So it will check your catalog, orders, web behavior tracking, and it will basically tell you if there are problems, what they are, how you can resolve them. And that was interesting, but we then thought, well, what would happen if we ran this at scale, if we ran this across all customer accounts, find out, state of the nation kind of stuff. So that's what we did. So we ran it across all customer catalogs, and this is what we found. 160-ish valid. Similar number with duplicate SKUs. So a SKU is the unique identifier for a product. So that's really quite important that it is unique, but apparently not to our customers for some reason. Bad schemas, this is where the data that we require, say for a catalogue, the format they're syncing doesn't match. That's a problem. And some other reasons. So that was a bit concerning. So we decided to invest some time in features that will make product recommendations more accessible for our users. We couldn't push this back to them and ask them to fix their data with, that would really get us nowhere. So we've been busy, and we've taken the approach that basically we should fix customer data for them to make this as simple and frictionless as possible. So the first thing we did, really simple, we looked at the core data set behind product recommendations, which is the catalog. And we've reduced the core schema. The core fields that you need is now reduced. If you go to the documentation, you'll now see a green tick. If there's a green tick, we need it for product recommendations. So we've really distilled this down to the absolute bare minimum. Duplicate SKUs, this was more work, okay? So when I think about a product catalog, I think, well, of course, SKUs must be unique, right? That's really important. Shopify customers in particular, not the case. They don't seem to care very much. So this is what we did. We are dynamically building new SKUs on the fly. So we're concatenating the SKU, the name, and the URL, and we end up with a very big, long, hopefully unique ID. And that's kind of how long, very, very long indeed. So we're fixing the data automatically for customers with duplicate SKUs, which is great. But then we started to get inquiries from customers who wanted to use product recommendations, but they don't have orders and they don't have web behavior tracking. So who are these scumbags? Billy is the persona we're using for this. So Snow.yo have branched out into travel. So they are offering winter sports holidays, gear hire, all that kind of stuff. So this is the problem that Billy has. Separate website, it's not connected via one of our e-commerce connectors. It can take orders, but it's in a proprietary database. And when Billy thinks about marketing the holidays that he wants to send to his users, email just takes a long time. Like building these product grids manually, it just takes a very long time. So he would perhaps tend to stick to social. However, Billy was onto something, and so we listened. And this is basically, when we dug into it, what Billy wanted to do. He wanted to do holiday recommendations, something like this. So a short break to Austria, fitting to a certain kind of budget. In our recommendation builder, we might do something like this. So we have some include criteria and some exclude criteria. Well, I'm happy to say for Billy, you can now do this kind of stuff with a new product recommendation, which we are calling custom category. And this recommendation type only needs a catalog. Doesn't care about how many you've sold. It doesn't care about web behavior tracking. It only cares about the filters that you set up. So really low data dependencies. You can see the required fields there on the right-hand side. And I think this one has the added bonus that it will surface the most recently added products in the database. So if Billy can make his holidays fit those fields over there, then he can use custom category for content recommendations. So we're already talking to customers who, for example, sell experience days, or they operate city guides, and they might want to do cafe recommendations or museum recommendations, that kind of stuff. That will all work with our custom category recommendation type. Okay, one slide on AI recommendations this time. So a bit of an update. We now have two predictive product recommendation types. And essentially, we went through an exercise of thinking about how we might better position these. So these are, in a sense, a rename and a relaunch. So lookalikes, previously this was content-based filtering. It's the same thing, it's just rebranded, much friendlier name. Hopefully it's easier for customers to understand. But this is concerned with finding similarities between products. So if you bought a product that has these attributes, as a customer, you know, we're thinking, okay, anything that matches this kind of profile, that's an appropriate thing to recommend. Next best, previously you may have heard us talk about collaborative filtering or matrix factorization. Best next is just a simplification of what that's doing. It's looking, in fact, not at what a product is, doesn't give us stuff about that. It's looking at shopper behaviors, so who bought what, and it's trying to find the best next fit to recommend to similar shoppers. So hopefully these are easier to understand. We've got nice new icons. If you're interested to find out more about the underlying tech behind these, how the machine learning works, there are videos as part of the self-certification course that will take you into some detail. So hopefully that's interesting. Some more on product recommendations. So we always wanted to do this, we just didn't have time, but in 19.1 you can now specify fallbacks. And this is essentially a way of ensuring there are always products to recommend. So for any recommendation type that you build in the recommendation builder, so these are non-personalized recommendations, you can choose a fallback. And the way you do it is you actually choose another recommendation to fall back to. And that's quite neat because that's dynamic. So you're not cherry picking individual products which might go out of stock as part of an automation program that you forget about. That's a legitimate problem. We're actually falling back to a dynamic product set. So it would be used something like this. So Salomon, really popular winter sports brand, you would do something like this. So you would have your include and your exclude conditions. That's starting to look quite granular, and it's also factoring on stock. So I might be concerned that if I have, say, transient stock levels, high turnovers of products, this might not return enough goggles as it is in this case. So I can go and specify a fallback, a broader category of product recommendation, and I will always have recommendations to show. Final note on this, when we fall back, it is a hard switch. So if I need 3 pairs of goggles for my product grid and I have 2, we aren't going to backfill, we're going to switch straight over to the fallback. And we've done that to simplify revenue attribution. So it's really clear what is earning me the money. Is it the primary or is it the fallback? So hopefully that's in the reporting, that's easy for users to understand. Okay, nearly there on product recommendations. Let's have a bit of a recap just to remind you all about what kind of product recommendations we now have. So there are 2 categories, general and predictive. General recommendations, this is one set of products recommended to many users. So bestsellers, most viewed, hopefully they're obvious. Trending, that's a hybrid that combines bestsellers and most viewed, and our new custom category. And for predictive, we have our lookalikes and our bestsellers. So let's dive into Snowyo. They have been using product recommendations successfully, both in broadcast and in transactional emails. Emily, the marketing manager, is delighted because she is seeing campaign production time much reduced, but also she's able now to see aggregate revenue reporting. So when she goes and looks at the product recommendation screen, she can look at the performance of the recommendations her team builds over time. So that's really good, and that's proving popular with Snowyo. In fact, it's proving so popular that Mandy, the e-commerce manager, wants a bit of it. So, Emily, those email stats for ProdRecs are looking great. Do you think we can get those on our Shopify site? Yo is like corporate policy. Obviously, they have to communicate by saying that every time. So with Dotdigital 19.1, you can now paste some JavaScript into our page templates and recs appear. For realsies. Emily doesn't talk that way, but yeah. You can now, in 19.1, go to the product recommendation home screen, have a look here at the web HTML template, customize the fields that you want to appear. It can look exactly like it does on your website. Choose the number of products, grab the JavaScript, and you are good to go. And so, Snowyo are now using Dotdigital product recommendations in their true omni-channel form on their website. For realsies. Mandy is delighted. So on-site recommendations will work with any non-personalized recommendation at the moment. So those 4 are good. Quick note on implementation. So this requires, just like our web behavior tracking or abandoned cart scripts, the customer needs to embed our JavaScript on their website. The HTML template is managed in the Engagement Cloud platform, which is cool because it means they can make changes to the templates without doing a code deploy on their website. So that's a nice touch there. I think equally, if you want to go and change the logic of the product recommendation, that will then be reflected live on the website as well, without needing to change anything in your Shopify, Magento store, etc., etc. That's it for product recommendations, but we have a Brucey bonus. People in the UK know about a Brucey bonus. Everyone else is like, what is he talking about? So Hack Week last year, we had a number of really good projects that were worked on, one of which is being worked on right now, but one is now finished. And this is time and geo-targeted blocks. This is something Wayne, one of our developers, did for Hack Week. And it's very, very cool. So why do we care about time and geo-targeted blocks? So hopefully not stretching the Snowyo analogy too much, but they are now running events. And this is Fiona. So they're running regional events, showcasing the latest gear and fashion from their suppliers, offering nice discounts for people who attend. But Fiona's problem is this just takes time, right? So there will be time-sensitive banners promoting events, coupon codes. She wants to basically show and hide blocks in landing pages for people who are in certain geographic areas. So in 19.1, Fiona can do just that. So with time-targeted blocks, you can set a hide before and hide after date, or indeed a date time. So this is awesome for her banners and her coupons. She doesn't need to log back in to Engagement Cloud to manage her pages. The banners will just hide or appear automatically. Geo-targeted blocks, these are also very cool. So based on the geographic area a person is in, we can show or hide content. So to give you an idea in terms of accuracy, this is probably good for town or city-based targeting. It's more accurate on Wi-Fi. But yeah, essentially, this is how it works. You drag the new location filtered block in, drop some stuff into it, and then you can actually configure the area that you want to target. So if we here target London, pan and zoom, hopefully we find London. It's still there, hasn't disappeared. And I can set a square, a circle, or draw a custom polygon to target the geographic area. There we go. Anyone in that area will see the block. So that's me. Let's just recap on what we've covered. Product recommendations, whole ton of work fixing customer data automatically. More on the data as well. We're setting fallbacks, so you can be absolutely sure that you're going to have products shown all the time. New types of product recommendations. So we have our custom category, good for holidays, good for travel, etc., etc. 2 new, quote, machine learning recommendations, and of course, on-site recommendations. And finally, landing pages get some love with time and geo-targeted blocks. Thank you very much. We're going to give you a minute now to come up with some questions for Q&A. But yeah, that's me. Thanks.
Cool. So I've got a few questions in. Hope that's all working okay with the mic. Yeah. Cool. So where shall we start? So let's start with one for Tristan. How do I personalize and enter abandoned products within an SMS push campaign within the new M2 release? That's part 1. And then part 2 is advanced personalization now supported in these 3 channels? Sorry, in these channels.
That would be great, wouldn't it? We don't, well, so you can't do that exactly as in surface all the product that you have currently in the basket in an SMS or in a push notification yet. Hopefully we will be able to do that in the future release, in future releases, plural. But right now what we can do, and that was I was kind of trying to show in one of example during the talk, was to use what we call abandoned product. So that's a data field that is already available right now. And we basically synchronize in that data field, anytime you abandon a cart, the most valuable product of your cart. So that in that way you can basically say, hey, you forgot that product, which is the most valuable product, and simply send an SMS reminder or a push notification reminder.
Seen a couple for Daniil on SMS. First up, how do you enroll SMS repliers into a program, and how quickly can this happen?
Right. I think this mic still works. Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
Cool.
So so basically like everyone who can send you messages or reply to your messages, you can segment them in the segmentation, and as you know, you can enroll people to the program using the segment. So basically that would work like any other segment. And how often that could happen, like any other segment, right now, every 24 hours.
Very good. And another SMS-based question. A little confused about segmenting based on SMS replies. Does this only work for replies through the program builder or the standalone SMS tool? So is it broadcast or?
Yeah, very good question,
program?
actually. Indeed, right now, if you segment only on email contacts, right? So the contacts that reply to your triggered SMS message, the one that you sent from program, indeed. But we're working on that, and hopefully when the Kingdom will be delivered. We'll be able to segment on all possible contacts who reply to our SMS message.
Cool. And another one for you on Mail Shop Maker. So I think that's the question. Will Mail Shop Maker be created for automation from the channel management section?
Okay. Yeah. Right. So yeah, to start using Mail Shot Maker, you indeed would need to create a profile for it in the channel management area. This is a one-time task. You do it once, you don't need to do it again. You create the design, so you design your postcard or design your letter in the Mail Shot Maker system. And in Engagement Cloud, you just choose the design that you want to send, and we kind of add recipients to this design.
Cool. Yeah, and then the second part of that is, will it pull through pre-made card campaigns from the Mail Shop Maker site, which is
Yes.
the case. So none of that happens in Engagement Cloud. It's all Royal Mail side. And got a question here on product recs for Ian. Is that mic still working? Yep. So if the fallback rec can't generate enough products, what happens?
I took my mic off, sorry. If a fallback rec can't generate enough recommendations, you've built the fallback recommendation wrong, right? I mean, just as a principle, it should be a very broad category. So I think you just need some care on that. But it's worth saying, when you build the product recommendation and you hit the preview button, you will see the primary products and the fallback product set. So you should be able to make an assessment of build time that this kind of looks reasonable with the fallback.
And it's going to come straight back to you because I've got two questions on landing pages, related actually. Do geoblocks work based on the recipient's IP address? And the second one to this is, do time-sensitive landing page blocks handle time zones and daylight saving times?
I'll get back to you. Where's Ricky when you need him? I will get back to you on that. So on the first one, yeah, for sure, the IP address is a factor. On the second one, I am almost certain, yes, it will consider the location when it is showing or hiding the block based on the account time zone setting. If I'm lying, it's on video, but I'll get back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll clarify that one. And then if anyone's got anything else, be quick because we're coming up to the last question. Are Cartoon sites now being synced over from Magento 2 only or Magento 1 as well?
Magento 2 only. We are not planning right now to do that for Magento 1. The focus being clearly made now on Magento 2, basically.
Cool. Nice and easy. Well, that wraps up 19.1. So, thanks very much for joining us. If you're here in the room or watching live, the session is being recorded, so we'll post that round on the Treehouse. Look out for the quiz tomorrow, and the leaderboard will be up next Friday, so make sure you do it. That's it.